"I thought I was finished, didn't you?" What Joe Frazier whispered in round 11 destroyed the greatest fighter alive, and Ali carried that secret like a scar until his final breath, because some words hit harder than any punch ever could. The Manila heat was unbearable that October morning in 1975. Muhammad Ali stood in his corner, chest heaving, sweat pouring down like rain, his vision blurred from exhaustion. Across the ring, Joe Frazier looked like a man possessed, his face swollen beyond recognition, but his eyes burned with something Ali had never seen before, pure, unfiltered hatred mixed with respect. This wasn't just a fight anymore. This was war. The thriller in Manila had become a descent into hell, and both men knew only one would walk out with his soul intact. Ali had talked for months, called Frazier a gorilla, mocked him on television, humiliated him in front of the world. He thought the mental warfare would break Joe before they ever touched gloves. He was wrong, dead wrong. Round after round, they traded blows that would have killed ordinary men. Ali's speed was fading, his legendary footwork reduced to desperate shuffles. Frazier kept coming forward like a machine built only to destroy, absorbing punishment that should have dropped him 10 times over. By round 11, something shifted in the atmosphere of that arena. The crowd fell silent, sensing they were witnessing something beyond sport, beyond competition. This was two warriors testing the absolute limits of human endurance and pride. If you're feeling what I'm feeling right now, hit that subscribe button and smash the hype button to help this channel grow. Drop a comment with your thoughts because this story gets even more intense. Your support means everything, and it helps the algorithm show these incredible stories to more people like you. Ali threw a combination that would have finished most fighters, but Frazier walked through it. Then, in the clinch, with the referee trying to separate them, Frazier pulled Ali close. Their faces were inches apart, both men barely able to stand, and Joe whispered something directly into Ali's ear. The cameras caught the moment. Ali's expression changed instantly. His eyes widened, not with fear, but with something deeper. Recognition, understanding, maybe even regret. Whatever Frazier said in that moment, it cut through all the bravado, all the showmanship, all the carefully constructed persona of Muhammad Ali. For just a second, the mask fell away completely. Nobody knew what was said. Reporters asked both fighters for decades. Frazier would only smile that knowing smile and say, "That's between me and him." Ali deflected, changed subjects, told jokes, did everything except answer the question directly. Their rivalry continued for years, sometimes friendly, sometimes bitter. But that whisper remained a mystery locked between two men who had shared something most humans never experience, the absolute edge of physical and mental limits. The years passed. Ali's health declined, Parkinson's slowly stealing his voice, his movement, his ability to be the man the world remembered. Frazier died in 2011, taking his half of the secret to the grave. Ali's condition worsened, and by 2016 he was in his final days, surrounded by family in a Phoenix hospital. His daughter Rashida sat beside him, holding his trembling hand. In those last hours, when the end was near and there was nothing left to prove, nothing left to protect, Ali did something he'd never done before. He spoke about Manila, about round 11, about the whisper. His voice was barely audible, weakened by disease and time, but Rashida leaned in close to hear. Ali told her that when Frazier pulled him close in that clinch, with both men on the verge of collapse, Joe had whispered, "God made us both, champ. You just forgot that when you called me names. We're the same, you and me. We're both just men trying to be great. And right now we're both dying in this ring together. Was it worth it?" Those words, delivered not with anger, but with profound sadness and truth, had shattered something inside Ali. Because Frazier was right. In that moment, stripped of everything except raw humanity, they were exactly the same. Two men who had sacrificed everything for glory, for pride, for the roar of the crowd. Ali admitted to his daughter that he'd carried guilt about how he treated Frazier for the rest of his life. The cruel words, the public humiliation, the guerrilla comments that he knew hurt Joe deeply. It had all been strategy, psychological warfare to gain an edge. But in round 11 of the thriller in Manila, Joe Frazier had shown him that some victories come at too high a cost. Ali won that fight when Frazier's corner stopped it before round 15, but he never felt like he'd truly won. He'd broken a good man's spirit to build his own legend, and that whisper reminded him that greatness without honor is just noise. The revelation changed how people understood their relationship. After Manila, Ali and Frazier had a complicated friendship. They'd appear together at events, sometimes joking, sometimes tense. Ali would try to apologize in his way, and Frazier would sometimes accept it, sometimes push back. Now it made sense. Frazier had given Ali a gift in that whisper, the truth about who they both were beneath the hype and the hatred. And Ali had spent the rest of his life trying to live up to that truth, becoming a humanitarian, a voice for peace, someone who used his platform for more than just self-promotion. The boxing world was stunned when Rashida shared this story after her father's death. Historians and journalists who'd covered that fight for decades suddenly saw it differently. The thriller in Manila wasn't just the greatest fight ever. It was a moment of profound human connection disguised as violence. Two men pushing each other to places they'd never been, and in that crucible, finding a truth that transcended sport. Frazier's whisper wasn't meant to destroy Ali mentally, though it did shake him. It was meant to remind him of their shared humanity, to pull him back from the edge of becoming the monster he was pretending to be. Other fighters who knew both men weren't surprised. George Foreman, who had fought them both, said it made perfect sense. Joe was always the realest person in any room, Foreman explained in an interview, and Ali, for all his talk, had the biggest heart. That whisper probably saved Ali's soul, made him remember who he really was underneath all that beautiful chaos. Larry Holmes, who had sparred with Ali for years, added that Ali had become quieter after Manila, more reflective, less willing to cross certain lines with his trash talk. Something had definitely changed. The impact of that moment rippled through Ali's later life in ways people hadn't recognized. His humanitarian work, his efforts to bridge racial and religious divides, his willingness to admit mistakes and show vulnerability, all of it traced back to lessons learned in that Manila ring. Frazier had held up a mirror in round 11, and Ali had spent the rest of his life trying to be worthy of what he saw reflected back. It wasn't about boxing anymore. It was about being a complete human being, flawed but striving, imperfect but honest. The tragedy is that Ali and Frazier never fully reconciled before Joe's death. There were moments of warmth, but also moments of distance. Frazier carried his own pain about how he'd been treated, and that pain was valid and real. Ali's deathbed confession showed he understood that, even if he couldn't fix it. Some wounds run too deep, some words can't be taken back, no matter how much you wish you could. But the whisper itself was an act of grace, Frazier reaching out even in the midst of battle to remind his opponent of their shared dignity. Today, when people watch footage of the thriller in Manila, they can see that moment in round 11 with new eyes. The clinch, the whisper, Ali's reaction, it's all there, preserved forever. But now we know what it meant, what was said, what it cost both men. The greatest fight in boxing history was also a moment of profound spiritual reckoning, a reminder that even in our most competitive, most violent moments, we're still just human beings trying to find meaning and connection. Hey, my friends, help me by subscribing to the channel so we can reach 1,000 subscribers, even if you're watching from your TV or computer. Your subscription makes all the difference, and the algorithm will help you see more amazing stories. Leave a like or an emoji in the comments and be part of this growth.